Thank you for watching. Now it's time to hand it over to my good friend Ayman Mohyeldin. Ayman, before I go tonight, we do have to talk about the tragic death of Al Jazeera journalist Samar Abu Daqqa, who was killed Friday while reporting in Gaza. He was laid to rest by his family yesterday, tragically. In a statement to NBC News, Al Jazeera said of his death, quote, following Samar's injury, he was left to bleed to death for over 5 hours as Israeli forces prevented ambulances and rescue workers from reaching him, denying the much-needed emergency treatment. Now, the Israeli military are saying, quote, the IDF takes all operationally feasible measures to protect both civilians and journalists. The IDF has never and will never deliberately target journalists. Given the ongoing exchanges of fire, remaining in an active combat zone has inherent risks. The IDF will continue to counter threats while persisting to mitigate harm to civilians. The IDF later said an ambulance had been dispatched to help Samar, they say, but encountered, quote, extensive road damage and couldn't reach the scene in time. Now, the Israeli military has been caught lying several times in this war, so take that however you want to take it. But Ayman, I want to talk to you about Samar himself, because you knew him personally, and I'm so sorry for your loss. Just tell our viewers what he was like.
Yeah, I mean, you know, in short, he was a journalist. He was somebody that I got to know very well when I was based in Gaza for almost 2 years. He comes from a family of journalists. His brother is also a cameraman. Others work as journalists as well. He was a very determined, very passionate, very committed journalist, a shooter and an editor. He was the kind of guy that would always go out, be out the door as fast as possible, but also come back and proudly talk about the images that he had captured and tell you as a correspondent which pictures you should write your story to, because he knew which ones were the perfect shots. So look, you know what was remarkable as well, he loved Gaza. He was committed to covering Gaza. In fact, he had the chance a couple of years ago to take his family out of Gaza. He managed to relocate them to Belgium, but he was so I guess he missed covering Gaza, he missed being with his colleagues and the journalists and the community there, that he decided to come back, and he was hoping to bring his family back. This was well before the war broke out. They're still in Belgium. They did not have a chance to see him, obviously, with this tragedy. But I think it's a testament to the kind of journalists that are in Gaza right now, those that are operating there, not just Samar, but even Wael, who was injured as a result of that shelling that took place. The community of journalists in Gaza, it's not a profession, it's not a job, it truly is a calling. And they know right now in an environment like this, where they are the only eyes and ears to the outside world, that the responsibility of what they're doing goes far and beyond anything any journalist can even begin to comprehend. But he was a truly remarkable guy and an amazing friend.
And a big loss to journalism and to Al Jazeera and to the people of Gaza. And as you mentioned, he was there with his colleague Wael al-Dahdu, who was injured alongside him, but was back reporting yesterday. He also, of course, viewers will remember a few weeks ago, lost his wife, kids, grandkid, nieces, nephews in an Israeli strike, and carried on reporting. This is Wael al-Dahdu, Al Jazeera journalist, who should be a hero right now to all journalists. I mean, it's astonishing that this man is still reporting, despite losing his family, despite losing his cameraman, despite being injured himself, and he's still on air. And I just think to myself, whatever happened to that hashtag, journalism is not a crime? Where is the rest of the world's media? Where is the Western media in particular? When journalists are being killed, I think something like 57 Palestinian journalists, 4 Israeli journalists, I think 3 Lebanese. It's crazy how many journalists have died in this war, historic numbers, and we should be recognizing and celebrating those who are risking their lives to give us the truth of what's happening on the ground. Yeah,
and like you said, look, the community of journalists around the world are very tight-knit. We understand the importance of this profession and this job and this calling, if you will. And when a journalist is injured or killed or wrongfully imprisoned, whether it's in Russia or Iran, you hear the international community of journalists speak out about it. You see the campaigns. It captures the attention of world leaders and certainly Western leaders in the strongest condemnation possible. And yet, as we are seeing in this situation at an alarming rate, the killing of journalists is really not getting the kind of attention it deserves by many leaders, certainly Western countries that claim to hold up the mantle of free speech and the importance of a free press and the importance of journalists. But Mehdi, it's always great to see you. I know, look, you and I have had many handovers over the last several years, but I believe this one, due to our scheduling, is probably going to be the last handover. And I just want to say it's always been a pleasure to share these few minutes with you every night. I always learn from you, but I have really come to enjoy our Sunday night handover. So it'll be the last one between the two of us, but I'm sure we'll come up with something as exciting as riveting for our viewers in the weeks and months ahead.
I've loved every single one except for the one where you made me eat a croissant because France beat England.
Well, listen, we'll come up with something, and who knows, ahead of the next World Cup, maybe we'll find something else that we can put a non-friendly wager on. We'll see.
Thank you.
Anyway, my friend, good to see you as always. Great show.